So when we go back and look, oh goodness, about a year and a half ago, in Fort Wayne, they solved a 30-year-old homicide case of a little girl, the April Tinsley case. That one was examined and re-examined and re-examined. It wasn't dropped. It was just continually looked into until the technology caught up and allowed us the opportunity to advance our evidence. So.
April 1st, 1988, 8-year-old April Marie Tinsley was walking through her South Fort Wayne neighborhood, but she never made it home. She disappeared from the sidewalk. Her body found 3 days later in a DeKalb County ditch. In the next 3 decades, the case grew in notoriety as barn writings and notes left on little girls' bicycles taunted police.
Wanting justice for her is why it was able to stay alive for so long and why so many people were passionate about the case.
Detectives had always said the DNA evidence found with her body would catch her killer, and it did when Parabon Nanolabs used new genetic genealogy technology. Parabon took the killer's DNA sample and through ancestry registry data was able to link it to a name and face.
Police taking 59-year-old John D. Miller into custody. Investigators say they asked Miller if he knew why he was being questioned. His response, April Tinsley. Then, according to police, a confession.
How critical is that confession in the case?
The DNA is still going to be the most important piece of evidence in this case. You combine that with the confession, and it's hard to figure out exactly what his defense is going to be.
I can't tell you how happy I am for Janet that she finally has some closure to this. I know it's still going to, haunt her the rest of her life every day, but I am so happy that she can finally rest a little bit knowing that he is finally caught.
Today is a big win for law enforcement, and this investigation illustrates the dogged determination of the investigators who never wavered, never gave up, and kept moving forward for the last 30 years.
It was just continually looked into until the technology caught up and allowed us the opportunity to advance our evidence. So is that going to be the same here? I don't know. I really pray, just like the superintendent does, this doesn't go 30 years. I'm hoping it doesn't go 30 more days or 30 more minutes, to be perfectly honest with you. We'd love a conclusion right now.
Somebody knows.
Somebody does know.
Somebody knows.
Absolutely.
And statistics would tell us that we probably have come across the name.
In 2019, a new composite sketch of the suspect was created that looks a lot different to many people than the original sketch. How and why was the new sketch created, and why might it appear much different to people?
I can't talk a lot about that in detail, but I'll simply say that the investigation has evolved, and there are things we know we can't explain, and I know that there was a lot of anxiety about that, and even there was some confusion and some blame and some criticism of us. That criticism needs to come to me, not to anybody else, because I absolutely supported that change. And I think there will be enough similarities in this person when we find him that we'll be able to see it in both.
I don't like it. Early on, police mentioned that there was some DNA evidence found and that it was going to be fast-tracked through the lab, but then noting else that there was never anything found. Can you state why no follow-up was given on that?
I can't talk about the events associated with this.
Can you say whether genetic genealogy using familial DNA profiles is possible tools to be utilized in the future?
Again, it's associated with DNA evidence.
Don't want to talk about